Hello everyone and welcome back. In this lesson we're going to talk about computed properties. We're going to talk about two different types of computed properties. We're going to talk about read-only computed properties and about computed properties that have getters and setters. So let's start talking about what is computed properties. So computed properties are values that they are not actually stored into your class, different than the stored properties that we just saw before. We calculate the value the property will return based on the stored property or not, and give that value back. So for example, if we have the area of a square, instead we have a how stored property to save that value. We know how to calculate it. We have the side of the square. We can just multiply the side by the other side and return it. So we're gonna be looking at some examples and how we do that, and when we use it and how we use it. There is just a note I want to bring it on. This is actually from the Apple book that we have been using, and I normally don't use red on my presentation, and when I use you should pay a lot of attention. And says here, you must declare computed properties, including the read-only properties, as variable properties with var keyword, because the value is not fixed. So let's just have a step back, understand what that's saying. So it doesn't matter whatever the stored property you're declaring, you always gonna use the keyword var in front of it. And I'm gonna show you when we go into the examples, but that's a must. It is always var, it's never a let. So let's look at an example here. A very simple example. In this case, I have a struct called person, and then what I do is I have the first name, that's a stored property. I have the last name, that's another stored property. And then I have a say hello, that's a computed property. And what it does is it returns hello, and then the first name, and then the last name. So it's very simple, very good example to learn. And this is a read-only computed property. Now let's have a look on a much more complicated case of a computed property where it has getters and setters. And this is as well an example from the Apple book where we have square, a rectangle, and we're gonna calculate the center of the rectangle. So in this case we have three different structures. One is a point, so the very first one at the top with the x and y. Then the second one is the size with the width and the height. Then the third one is the actual rectangle, where we're gonna use the point and the size as the stored properties. And then we have our center, and their center is gonna be our computed property. And when we set and when we get the value of that point, we are calculating it to store and to retrieve. And I'm not gonna go too much over here. I'm gonna go a bit more deeper into the project. Otherwise, it's gonna be too difficult to keep showing you what's happening. But basically, what we're doing here is we're creating a point in 0. We're creating a rectangle with size 10, height 10. Then we are create this new rectangle, initiating, getting the center, and just changing these numbers. We're gonna go over this now into the code, into the playground. What I want to do is first I want to step back and go back to the first example that's much simple. Understand that first example, then we go back to this example and we're gonna understand, line by line this example. And by the end of this class, we're gonna know everything about computed properties, how to use and when to use it. So let's go and have a look. Here is the example on the playground. It is available to you if you want to follow along. And the background is very small here. So we have this structure with the first name, last name, and it returns this value that says hello, first name and last name. And here I create my name, and I call person.sayHello, and it surely calls hello Icaro Labrador. And well, there is no much secret. Just want to show you the problem with the let keyword. So it's already say here let declarations cannot be computer properties. So Xcode won't let you do any mistake. Let's go back to a var. And I think that is pretty much it. But if you have any questions, just let me know. So let's go to the second example that's much more complicated. Well, it's not really complicated, it's just a little bit more long, let's say. So, okay. First we have 3 structs, okay? Our first struct generates a point. Our second struct generates a width and the height. And our third struct generates the rectangle. Let's forget about the computed property for now. So with these 2 data, so we create our point. So we're not using the rectangle yet, we're creating our point on 0, 0. Then we create our size 10, 10. And now we are creating a rectangle. So we didn't touch this yet. We have a new rectangle and it's on point 0, 0, size 10, 10. Now, what we're doing here now is the first time we're touching the computer property. And this, when we are assigning a value, when the computer property is on the right side of the equal sign, we are using a getter. So we are getting this value and assigned to something. So we are coming over here. Okay, this is very important. When we are using the dot notation, so the dot notation is variable name dot something, we are using the get. Okay, so okay, we are using this and we are creating a new variable with square dot center. So what that means, let's have a look. If you hold the key, the Alt key, see how my cursor turned into a question mark? Now I can click into that and that's gonna tell me exactly what happened. So my initial square center is going to be the type point. Why is going to be a type point? Well, we are calling my square dot center, and my square is type of rectangle. Rectangle dot center is type point. So this my square dot center is returning a point. Okay, so now I know what we is returning here. So this is returning a point. So now if we look here, so we know, and we can see here return point. And what's the point that's returning? Is returning a pointing with center X and its center Y. What is center X? Center X is orange dot X. And what's orange dot X? Well, we know that orange dot X is 0. Plus size dot width. We know that size dot width is 10. Divide by 2. So let's put all this data here so we can see. Origin. Give some space. Let's copy. Orange.x, size.width. Let's bring this close together. Okay, so, and now let's put the name of the variable. And dot. And dot. Now we should be able, as soon as Xcode finishing computed everything, we should be able to see what is being calculated here. So, like I was saying, orange.x is 0, size.width is 10, and let's even put it, I know everybody knows math, but let's put everything here. And then size.width divided by 2, it will show 5 anytime now. So, what are we getting? Are we getting my square dot center is calling get, that's getting 0 plus 10 divided by 2. Then it's getting the same exactly value for y. It's returning here. This initial square center is gonna be this point value that is 10, 10. Sorry, that's 5, 5. Then we are creating a new my square dot center and put it into the point 15, 15. Well, now we are doing the opposite. Now my square dot center is going to the set because the dot center is on the left side of the dot notation. So what happens here? New center is going to receive this point. So new center is going to have 15, and then size.width, we know that the size is 10, divided by 2, we know that is 5. If we passing 15, we know the size of we know that the new x is gonna be 10. So the new orange.x is gonna be 10. Okay, this is already printing here. The square orange is now 10, 10. But let's again have a look and see why. So if we print here, just to show again that my square dot origin dot x in where Xcode computed this, we're gonna go and trace what's happening. So my square.center is on the left side. We are adding the value of 15. So it's calling the setter with this new center that is a point, and the value of x is 15, and we are subtracting the width, that's 10 divided by 2, that means that is 5. 15 minus 5 is 10. We added that value to the origin, so that our new variable origin now is 10. So now Xcode finish computed. My square orange x is 10. And I put here some of the other values just so we know. So this is how getters and setters work. Is, I think, the most important thing here to remember is get is when it's on the right side of the equation, like it's in here. So I'll add it here. This is get, and I'll add it here. This is a set, just to be sure. And then as well to remember, this value is not getting added to the origin. It's going out of the function. It's going out of the struct. This value is coming inside. It's being manipulated. It's being added back to the origin. Is going added inside the store procedure. You could have an if condition here. It could be conditional. So you could say if it is the origin is negative, then ignore, doesn't save it. So wouldn't change your store procedure and would always be positive values. But otherwise, if you don't have a condition, the value gets saved and your struct get modified. So you have to remember that as well. So this is what I have for this class for you guys. I hope you enjoy. As always, if you have any questions, leave me on the discussion board. I will be replying to you as soon as I can. And any comments, any suggestions, just let me know. I want to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next lecture. Have a great day.